What's happening, chess fans? Welcome to Net Chess and Chill. Today is going to be a little bit different. We have obtained our first chess coaching session, and it was pretty cool. And I hope you guys enjoy it. My chess coach is Thchilli, and you guys should check him out. He's a fantastic guy. If you need chess coaching, he can help you out. And yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get right into it. I hope you guys enjoy.
Against e4 and one single opening against d4, and we stick to that. Like, there's going to be those two different possibilities with the black side. With white, we just stick to one line, and that's going to be perfect. That's what I do, so everybody should do. So we can work on that. But for the time being, if you're ready to start, we can start. Yeah, we'll stick with the London, especially because you're scoring really well. So let's take a look at some of these games. We've got you on the white pieces, playing d4, and we get the London. And okay, so one thing I'll say straight away, like it's not that there's nothing anything wrong with this. It's just that I wanted to touch on something, which is openings at this level. They're not really important in terms of theory. What you really need to get down at this level is the three principles, because everybody, no matter who they are, if they're in this rating range, they have some problems with the opening, with the three principles. And you know the three principles, right? That very basic stuff like control the center, develop your minor pieces, and then castle your king.
Yes.
That
Yep.
kind of stuff. And you can really take this many steps further if you actually try and master this properly. So let's take a look at the opening real quick. He plays
Sure.
b6, which is completely fine. It's a known opening, it's known theory that this is the Queen's Indian. He's going to place his bishop here, and that's the reason he plays this b6 move to keep Ketu to develop. This bishop either comes to e7 or b4, this kind of stuff. Very typical for this opening. So, and this is just theory as well, so nothing new here. This is completely fine as well, perfect. d5 by him, and I'd say this could be a bit premature. Not that it is, but it could be a bit premature because maybe you want to castle first, and typically it's not a good idea to break open the center before you've castled your king. Like, I have many students who play the Sicilian, and they actually have had this problem where they break too early in the center with b5, but their king isn't castled, which leaves them a bit exposed. So it may be a good idea to castle first. Okay, c3, and here he blunders a pawn.
Yes. I
Mm,
have a question. So
yeah,
before he played C4, um,
yep.
I my rule that I've always heard is if he plays C5, go for C3 in the London. Is that an accurate sort of thing? Like, I just
Yeah,
know
I get it.
to me,
So
I know that
yeah,
normally you don't play B6, right? Um, like my thing is that the queen comes to B6 a lot of the times and then threatens my B2 pawn. And
yeah,
my thought was is that whenever they play like C5, I should be playing C3 to complete my pawn pyramid and also allow my queen to be able to get out. Is
yeah. You
that
don't need to think of it in terms of oh, you have to do this. This is a generalization I can always follow. Not necessarily.
okay?
And if you think about this logically, if you play c5, the idea is that you're trying to create a this break in the center. So in this position, what would happen if he took here? What would happen if he plays c takes d4?
Uh, I
You'd
would
have to take.
I would be taking back with my E3 pawn.
Perfect. And what does this do to the structure? So let's just say you play a random move like bishop e2, takes. What does
It
this do to your structure?
it takes. I have a semi-open E file, and I would need to protect my pawn on D4 potentially with C3 in the future.
Yeah, and for the time being, this pawn isn't defended by any other pawns. So the fact that you're playing c3 here means if they ever do try to capture you, like they could on this move and play take, you have these pawns protected, and this is a very solid pawn base. No matter how you can take it like this and play for the c file, and this is a very symmetric pawn structure. People say symmetric pawn structures are drawish at the very high level, and that's correct because it's mirrored basically. When the pawn structures are mirrored, then it becomes really hard to create very active play because more times than not, what will happen is they'll play something like this, and then where's the pawn breaks? You see, everything in these openings is about pawn breaks, and it's really hard to play for a pawn break. If you look at this from the white side, your pawn break would be to play e4, but this isn't really well prepared. There's a lot of pieces defending this e4 square, so it's not really easy to play for this, which means the game will tend to figure out something more along the queen side, will castle quickly, and then like play will continue from here, you see.
Yep.
If you play like this, it gives you options to play for this, like you said, semi-open e file. You've kept this as a semi-open file for the black side as well. And where would your pawn break be? Well, this does lead to a very instructive structure. This is known as the Carlsbad structure, where you have this formation, and black has 2 against 4 on the queen side. What this can mean is they could play for a minority attack, like let's say this, this, and this, and try and create a weakness. Usually,
Okay.
once they've played d5, but these are some of the ideas. Um, so just answering your question, it just keeps this as solid as possible,
Okay.
basically,
Got you.
in a very basic way. D4 is a complete blunder.
Yep.
And what I mean by playing in a way where you master the fundamentals is if you think about this in terms of fundamentals, most people will just play something like, oh, I'll play bishop takes c4 here, and then I've developed my bishop, I can castle on the next move, and they don't really consider what the opponent does, which is the most important and critical part. So, what I would consider here as well, which I'm not sure crossed your mind, is knight takes c4.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the idea is of knight takes c4?
You can plant the knight potentially maybe on e5. Is that the thought in the future?
Not e5. Yeah, it looks like it's pointing towards e5 because you've got all of these pieces which look at e5, but actually it's another motif that you have. The motif being if they play a random move, like let's actually say they play what looks like a good move, knight c6 developing. Now you've got this move, knight
Okay.
d6 check.
Okay.
And look at what happens. If he moves the king, then he can't castle and he's screwed. His king's in the center. If he takes, he still cannot castle because your bishop sees this and he can't cross this.
Okay. So
So his king is, yeah,
the idea is to be as annoying as possible. Basically, it's okay if we trade right there and everything, but he can't castle. It feels tough for him. As it.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And a good way to condense this is to put it like this. You want to play the 3 opening principles, like dominate the center, develop your minor pieces, and castle quickly. You can take that and put it in reverse, like a reverse gear for him. So you don't want him to have center control, which he doesn't. He doesn't have any pawns controlling past this line, which is good for us,
Right.
which means he has less space. He can't castle now, which is a second principle that he can't complete. But he does have development, so that's okay. It's equal for us because we will get this bishop out, we'll castle, we're completely fine here. But he's down bad, is the point.
So this is
So
an instance where moving a piece twice in the opening is okay.
yeah, that's basically it. It
Okay.
is okay to move it twice in the opening if it has a very clear plan or goal. Like I would never play, let's say, knight takes. Let's just make a few more moves here. Let's just say d6, bishop b2, c4. If this happens, I will never play knight takes. Because now if we play knight takes, basically we don't have anything along this, right? Because the queen defends now.
Yep.
And so this would just be a waste of time. So if there's a very clear idea which you think you can capitalize on and impede him from playing the moves he wants to, that's really good. And yeah, you put it very nicely. Chess is a game where you want to be as annoying as possible, basically.
Right.
You want to be that annoying guy. But bishop takes c4 is just as good. Like, you're still the one with all the center control. You're completely developed now. And here, yeah, bishop g3, very typical move. moving back. He has not followed principles, by the way. He has moved this piece twice.
Yes, and he's not tried to take the center, and he's kind of underdeveloped compared to me, at least.
Really underdeveloped. The king is also development. We can count it as.
Yep.
So
I'm gonna
he's
castle on
very
the next
underdeveloped.
move, and or potentially I could castle on the next move, whereas he's definitely at least got two moves before he castles. So
Yeah. Okay. And sticking to this idea of mastering the opening, I don't want to play any middle game plans until I have finished development completely. So castling.
castling. Yep.
We
So
make a really big distinction here between opening and middle game. Like
eh,
in the opening, at this level at least, we're not gonna play for anything which is, oh, I can play this and create a structural weakness. There's no need for this because chess in the opening is a game about maximizing efficiency and developing as quickly as possible. It's literally a race. And this is even more expressive, let's say, in the gambit line. So let's say a very exaggerated gambit line here, take, here, take, here, take, take. This is an opening.
yep.
And white has gambited two pawns, but look at this amazing development. They can castle in two moves. Black hasn't moved a single piece. The only piece they have moved on the chessboard has been captured, which makes it terrible for them. You see.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
this,
And I'm familiar
yeah,
with this. I don't play it obviously, but I've seen this before on like a probably a Gotham chess video or something, and
yeah,
I do know that it is quite a bit better for white.
yeah. It's very dangerous for black. I mean, I would never go into this. I'm very scared to play this. Engine gives it minus 0.5 for black, but in practical
Yeah.
terms, I think even Magnus has lost this. To
Yeah,
be honest,
in human years, this is a lot worse. I feel like for sure. Like
for sure, man. So yeah, I would not take here because we want to win the race,
I
and by
remember
castling,
I
yeah,
remember this game, and I believe that I think the computer even said it was a mistake or maybe an inaccuracy to take on D5. So with my bishop.
yeah, it does make very good practical sense. The practical sense being that by taking, you kind of leave this bishop stuck behind its own pawn, which could be good. Not 100% though, because there is bishop a6, which could be a
Yep.
consideration.
And it
Like,
stops me from
let's,
castling too right now.
yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like, if you play a move like h3, and this could happen,
Yeah, it's
this would be
terrible.
completely fine.
Yep.
So yeah. Um, so I do like castling a bit better here, just because it completes our plans. And if we think about it, okay, well, what would be Black's next move? He's probably gonna have to follow principles if he doesn't want to lose the game in 5 moves. So Bishop b7 looks really good, and now this is a very key moment, and I'm gonna say something which could be a bit advanced. So you may not catch this, but let me just throw this out just in case you do. Um, what happens here is a very, very cool case because you're in a position which is very unique in the sense where you are fully developed, you've done all three opening chores, and you're now in the middle game. But let me ask you a question. Is he in the middle game? He still has the castle, right?
Yes.
So he is not in the middle game. It's like this weird space, like this very unique space which won't happen in any other side part of the game. Like if it's an end game, both sides will always be in an end game. But in this case, you are in the middle game, he is in the opening. Which means that since it's your turn to play, ball is in your court, then you get to play your first middle game idea, which looks to me like you can even improve on the principles and say, okay, I'm gonna play e4 here. Look at my center now. My center is amazing,
Yep.
and he's gonna have to move this knight, which is another reason why bishop takes was a bit premature. This looks
Sh-
amazing for us.
sure.
Let's say knight back. We can choose to push. We can choose to push. We can choose to develop a rook. We have many, many choices here, and
Okay.
all of them look good. So this would be definitely an improvement to the position and structure. So castles, d6 by him again, not sticking to principles. I love this idea by you, rookie one. And the king's not castled. Go for that. Go for the throat. Just go for the kill because it's definitely there if he keeps the king in the center. Bishop b7. Love the e4 break. D takes. Knight takes is perfect. castles. Okay, and then things have kind of settled down a bit,
Yeah.
and then h3
Now
comes.
we're both in the middle game, as you
Yeah,
would say, right?
perfect. I'm not a fan of this h3 move, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
I don't know. I don't know what. I can't exactly remember what my thought here was I think when I get to positions like this, like you said, like things have fizzled down. I didn't know how to progress. I think is what my thought was. So I think that's why I played
right.
a move like H3 just to be proactive and make sure my king has a square to move with not having a back rank problem. But that's not a good that's kind of like a I don't know what I'm doing move. Basically, is what that was. So
Yeah, it's never good to play that. And let me actually grab a game now that we've mentioned this that I've studied recently, and I'll show you that you can play in this way. You can play a very passive game and say like, okay, I'm just going to play very solid here. I can maybe even choose to get my opponent out of book really early, and I'll wait for his mistake and play something along the lines of that. It's not really a good idea because, in my mind at least, you're kind of banking on something that may not happen. It's better to play the best of your ability in the most precise way possible than to just say, okay, I'm gonna pass, because that could actually lead them to get the move correct, and then it's kind of um, tough to play, you know?
yep.
Let me see if it's this game. No, this one. Nope. Where's the game?
I don't know.
Ah, here we go. Okay, let me just load this in. So we can play like this. This is a game between Stolberg and Geller. This was played in the Zurich International in 1953, which is
Mm.
one of the most famous chess tournaments to exist in all time. And we are playing. Let's look at this from the white side. And white kind of does this strategy here, where they are playing a King's Indian, and this c3 move is very dubious because, you know, in any King's Indian, the idea is you play for the full center and
Yes.
you get
Yep.
to control all of this. But
Yep.
he plays c3 here, which it even resembles the London in a way, where you get this, well,
Yeah.
the pawn pyramid. You'd have
Yep.
to play e3 just, but it is a very similar structure. And okay, his opponent breaks open immediately and he plays, okay, knight b3 isn't really a great move because you can't really jump here. There's not anything to target here or here, so it only has the purpose of defending this square, basically, which isn't really good. It offers a queen trade and says, do you want to go into an endgame? He says, no, I don't, which is correct because he is not playing for a passive position, he's playing for the win. So bishop b3, rook d8, now hitting the queen with tempo, which is never good. And you can see the amount of space that black manages to achieve in this position. And there's a really cool idea here that I was looking at. The engine doesn't approve, but I like my move a lot more, which is let's just say they play a nothing move like a3. My idea here is to play this move, which is extremely fun because the idea is you're cutting off this connection, which doesn't exist anymore. And if they play bishop takes, we can sacrifice a pawn and go into this position where the pawn structure is very bad. If you choose to play queen takes, it's all the same. It's still down a pawn for black, but the position looks amazing. These pawns are very weak by themselves. So this would be a very interesting idea. Like knight g4 already targeting this pawn. And
Int-
what do you really do?
Interesting.
So
I like
yeah,
it.
this is like a very immediate way to punish this passivity. You could play like a black plays and play c3 or c6 and then take it a bit more slowly and try and really go for that positional squeeze, which is what happens in this game. And you really do get squeezed. Like look what happens a few moves later.
Mm.
B4 now incoming, A5 now
Yeah.
incoming, pawns rushing down the board, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden, look at this position. Look, would you like to play this as white or black?
No, not at all
It's
for black, for
yeah,
sure.
it's not even in question basically. So there's actually a very nice win here. Queen d3 was amazing, but he missed the follow up, which is b4. Just slam those pawns down the board because they're so far up that it's very easy to queen. A takes, a3, sacrificing 2 pawns,
Wow.
taking, and then there's just nothing for you to do here as white. Black has successfully broken through. So this would be a very clear demonstration of why passivity is not always a good idea. And so let's talk about the stage 3 move.
Okay.
There's a very important justification to playing h3. So the first justification being, let's say we get a position like this. Okay. Let's actually play d4 here, which is more familiar. Let's say this is a Benoni. Have you seen this move at all?
Yes,
H5?
I've messed up plenty of times and taken it, but I've learned that if I just play D5, yeah, I'm good to go
Perfect.
and defend.
So this is something that could happen in one of your games. Let's say take, push here, and then we can play
Bishop bishop C4 or knight C3.
yeah,
Knight.
I'm thinking knight f3 here.
Okay, so
Knight c3
yeah,
is very logical as well. We could go, let's say knight f6 here. So our pawn's attacked, we play knight c3 first.
to defend them
They
all.
can play bishop b7, knight here, and castles. So in this position, I would really urge to play h3 because the position demands it. And why is that?
Because the
position
knight could
demands
land there, or the bishop could land on G3, or
perfect,
excuse me,
man.
G4.
And
Yeah, G4.
yeah,
Excuse me. Yeah,
and you don't want this pin happening. You really don't want the pin happening.
yeah. Because
Whereas
my knight is
in
on C. I've committed my knight now to C3 versus trying to defend it on D2 or,
yeah,
and I don't want my bishop necessarily on E2 either.
yeah,
Right.
and in this case, like even if there was a bishop here, like you could play for that idea like knight d2. It's a bit passive in my mind, but you could fully do this.
Yeah.
And in this case, there isn't a knight to jump onto to any of these squares.
Mm-hmm.
So practically speaking, the only purpose that this move serves is acting as a luft for your king, which wouldn't be super critical at this point. Like every player worries about back rank mates at 900 elo, and I think that like now we're at the point where it's not a worry anymore. So we can play a luft when we see that it's necessary. Like we can see the tactics that they have in mind, and we can avoid any back rank mates when it appears, not immediately. So what would I play here immediately? Well, um, I like the looks of this move. D5, taking up even more space.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, where does this knight go to? If he goes here, he loses a pawn to this. If he plays knight b8, well, enough said, right? It looks terrible. If
Yeah.
you play this move, this looks just lost. The
Yeah.
problem being, this pawn defends this, your pawns defend this and this.
Yeah.
He could jump here, so we can play a move to stop this. Let's say like queen d3, controlling the square. They could do stuff like rook c1.
Well, you can trap the knight now with B4, right?
If b4 now, maybe this happens.
Oh, because it's defended by the rook. I'm sorry. Yeah, my apologies.
Yeah,
I see it now. Yep.
but if they didn't play anything like that, let's just
Yeah.
say this move.
Yeah, you could.
100%,
Yeah,
can
for
just play
sure.
this.
I got
And
you.
it's very obscure to see this. It's not really clear how this is how this knight is going to be punished because it looks like sometimes you maybe even think you have this square available. So many people will fall for this trap. Knights are always going to be under pressure if you got this type of setup here on
Mm-hmm.
the queen side. So that would be a way to continue. Again, I really like the idea of moving forwards. I think every move should be forcing, and you should be making progress towards this way if possible. Which,
What if you played Bishop F4 in this position? Is that And my thought was maybe silly, but my thought was is that I could potentially play bishop g5 and at least maybe get rid of their dark squared bishop, and I defend that square quite a few times.
Anything?
It's probably not a good move. The fact that the computer probably doesn't say it, but I didn't know. That to me, just looking at it, maybe that was a thought of mine.
Logically, I'd say it looks like a waste of time.
Okay.
Very logically, in the sense where I'm gonna move a piece. I've moved it once, twice, and then it will be 3, 4 to get
Yep.
to here,
Yep.
just to trade off a piece.
I got you.
Which, so he's moved it once. That would be kind of a waste of time. Um, what I really think is important at this rating, and we can talk about setting you up if you have the time to study, like properly study chess, setting you up for a chess book. And I have a very good chess book in mind. It's the book I told you about where I jumped from
Yep.
1200 to 1700. I'll put you on that book,
I
which
looked
will be
it up
amazing
on.
for you.
Yeah, you remind me of it after we finish this session or whatever, because I looked it up on Amazon. I just need to. I wanted to confirm with you that it was the same one. So, because
Yeah,
we had talked about it the other day, and I went and looked it up on Amazon. It's pretty cheap on Amazon, so I was gonna buy it.
yeah,
So,
you don't have to buy it. What you can do is you can just ask me for it, and I have the PDF for it online, so you can download that for free.
oh
And
wow, that's even better.
yeah, so that works out good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, what the book talks about basically is what you need to know from the 1200 to like let's say 1800 level, basically, and it's many different topics. But one of the most important topics of the book is pawn structure. Everything in chess is about the pawn structure, right? And if you think about chess in a very you could say a biological way, like a very holistic way, it's kind of like a human body, where the king would be the heart, and you could say the queen is the brain. I don't know, and the minor pieces are your internal organs, and the pawns would be your bones. And you can't have shit without bones, basically, because if you don't have bones, how are you gonna like walk around or stand up straight? It's not possible.
Sure,
And what you can
paraplegic life
tell,
is a little tougher than
yeah,
everyday Samaritans.
yeah, so this position here for black is it has some problems. The main problem being this pawn here, which is isolated, and our goal is always to isolate a pawn,
Put
target it, and win the pawn.
put
That
pressure.
would be yeah, put pressure. PP, no, it's not a. I was thinking of pin pieces, but
It's
that's
close
a
though. It's basically the
yeah,
same concept. Yeah, put pressure on the isolated
on the
pawn. So
yeah,
yeah,
basically.
it's not as
So
funny,
we're
but it's close. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to do that basically. So there's many ways to do that. The first thing to do would be to blockade it. So I
With
think
so you think d5 is the critical move probably in this position, then?
yeah, I think it's a very good move here because we can well, first of all, we kick this knight away, right? And this was the whole point. Like if he goes this way, we're winning a pawn. If he goes back, that's very bad placement. I
Mm.
think both of those would be very logical ideas.
And it blockades the pawn.
Yeah, it blockades the pawn, but maybe we even have tactics here.
Okay.
I feel like we have tactics here. Yeah. So a very simple tactic would be
Oh, and we take. Interesting. And then we yeah, okay. That's okay. See, I don't see those things a lot of times in games, but like when watching this
knight
it's
down trade, and that's
once
it.
you said there was tactics in this position, I like saw that immediately. So that was pretty interesting when you said that.
And it's kind of like you have a radar, and you can train your radar and your intuition,
Are you there? I'm sorry, I lost you for a second.
and you
Oh, there you are.
can yeah. Sorry, that maybe my internet. So I was saying that you can train your intuition to get better at these tactics and find them a lot easier. But really, what makes a tactic become visible is something strange in the position, right? There's something not right about the way the things are set. Like this pawn is very weak. There's two defenders, one being a bishop, which is fine, and the bad defender, which is the queen. The queen is always going to be a bad defender. So this would be like one logical way of trying to find these tactics. So that would
Okay.
be a possibility.
So I'm sorry, you're breaking up, brother. I'll just wait a second. If you don't mind, just waiting a second.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You're just breaking up a bit.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you now.
Okay, man. So I was just talking about this A5 move,
Yep.
knight A5, which invites our idea of playing B4. So thank you very much. I like A4, grabbing more space, always a good idea.
Yep.
A5 by him, just inviting B5. Again, thank you very much. Appreciate it, brother. Knight back. Oh my god, this knight. Look at how bad this knight is. I
Yeah.
can't stress this enough. It's like this knight can't go here. If he tries to reroute and get back into the game, let's say you go here. Well, you can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go here. It's terrible. It's a very bad piece here. So, and it makes even more weaknesses for him because another point in the book, which you'll see, is backward pawns. So, what constitutes a weak pawn? Or a pawn which isn't defended by any other pawns, which means this is also a weak pawn.
Yep.
This is a target. This is a target. Knight c4 looks delicious right now.
Okay.
Knight c4 looking like a snack right now. So this may be a very good idea to play. And really, what do you do here as black? If you want to follow like basic principles and say like, okay, well, middle game says I should conjoin my rooks. How will I do that though? Because if I play like this, then this immediately.
Right.
If I play, let's say, queen here, well, unfortunately, you've walked into a pin here, and this could be very nasty. So probably we don't have to do anything immediate, but it does mean that this is very weak. Like, let's say, okay, our knight's attacked, queen d3, it's defended now, and okay, we can move the knight if we want. We can play for some tactics along this, and that would be very good for us.
Okay.
Rook c1, completely fine. We did give up a pawn here.
did I play knight b3? That was the move I played?
Yeah,
Okay.
you played knight b3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought I missed something in this I remember this game, so I thought I missed something here. Was it so pushing was the move for sure, c5, right?
I'm
Or
trying to
did
think
it
about this.
did it say take? I don't
It says c5.
Yeah,
C5 is the
okay.
best move.
So c5
Takes.
takes, and then don't take here. You play knight. Now you play knight b3. I think is the best move.
But why do you think that is?
I don't know. I remember the computer told me that. I analyze my games after I play them on for everybody on my audience, and
Yeah.
sometimes I can look at the explanations from chess.com, but I don't always have I can see the moves that they play, but I don't always understand them. So
Yeah, and that's the problem with the engine because many people say, "Oh, this is the best engine line," but they don't understand the ideas behind the lines,
Yep.
which is really, really bad.
That's
really,
me.
really.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So what you need to do is try and actually figure out for yourself what this move does, and it's really hard, especially if you don't have like anything else helping you along the way to know this kind of stuff. Like, oh, you don't watch YouTube videos to learn about positional play, stuff like this. It's really important to study chess. Nobody actually really improves without studying a lot. So, um, the point is, if they take like this, we can play something like, let's say, knight takes, and then these knights are very, very much protected,
Yep.
and this pawn is now blockaded, which is what we wanted. We can play very simple moves and try and attack this pawn later on. So
Okay.
this is a permanent weakness. This
Uh,
is one of the points. The second point is, if you play push after this, like this,
I
then
can
you have
plant.
knight c5 in.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say you want to get rid of this and play takes. Well, you can't do this. White to play.
Rook takes. Wait. Hold on. Yeah. Wait. Is it rook takes e1 or e8? I mean.
queen takes.
And then we play um, sugar. I remember looking at this. I'm trying to access my memory and also figure it out right now because I don't remember. Um, I guess we take the bishop on c5. Is that or d takes c5?
Okay, so let's do it without playing the move. Is correct. Let's say, okay, we take here, rook takes. What
Ye-
now?
I don't have much of a follow up. I don't think. Let's see. Uh, I mean, I can keep pressure on the rook, or I can keep attacking the rook, maybe with a move like bishop d6. But I don't know if that's the thought at all. Now I feel like I'm just throwing pieces around. Um, let's see.
The
Hold
move
on.
here is okay. Calculate some more.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. So, so maybe don't take the bishop yet. Maybe let's see. Hold on. So, mm. All right, give me a hint. Should I go down the bishop or taking the bishop line, or should I start fresh right here?
I think there's more you can investigate after
Okay.
taking the bishop.
So take the bishop first is what you're saying in this position.
I'm saying you can look at that line a bit more, and maybe there's something.
Okay, so D takes c5, rook takes c5,
Yep.
and then my bishop to d6 was not the move potentially. So maybe we look at what about um, what about knight e5? Would that be? I mean, I
With the
get
idea of
my idea with knight e5 is I guess he could be kicked out pretty simply with f6, but maybe I could. Oh man.
it's a lot simpler than you think.
Okay, yeah,
It
I feel
seems
silly right
complicated,
now
but
because I don't know why I
no, no,
can't calculate
you're
it.
good. You're good.
All right, so I'm gonna draw on the board. Bishop takes, rook takes. From there, I was thinking the knight jumps into e5, and I could plant there, but that looks like a pretty controlled square. Well, the rook would be here, right? But
Yeah.
that looks like a pretty controlled square. So I feel like I'd be losing a pawn there. Um,
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to play knight c6 because it looks like a strong outpost potentially. And what I would say is, okay, let's say takes here and takes here. Is there anything strange about the position? Is there tactics alerts going off? Yes, there is, because if we look for something that's weak, literally everything, basically,
yeah,
because there's this piece
the
which is undefended,
yep,
this is
the
undefended,
rook is
this is
undefended.
undefended.
Yep.
So the line would be takes, takes, and then queen d4. Double attack. Hit this, hit this. You can't
Okay.
defend both. Let's say you play queen here, bishop d6 now.
Then my
Because
bishop
now
move.
once this
Okay.
moves, you can't move here, and it's actually trapped, basically. So it's
Yeah,
already
that's
lost.
beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. I didn't. Yeah, so I guess I have a blind spot sometimes when I start doing things like this. Like I get I don't know. I have beautiful moments. Like I play beautiful games sometimes, and then I play a game the very next day, and I just do not see tactics or anything. And I know chess puzzles would probably help, but I just have a
Yeah,
tough time. And same with this, right? Like I mean, now that I see it, this is a relatively simple progression, right? Like you're just bettering all of your pieces, right? Like you said earlier,
yeah,
moving forward. And keeping pressure on pieces. And I knew when he took with the rook that it would be kind of funny because he had a bunch of pieces just sitting around. But this makes sense.
yeah.
So thank you for
Let's
explaining.
perfect. So let's actually focus on the openings, which is really what I want to focus on for today. And
Okay.
we'll focus on that part about trying to take advantage of their mistakes and trying to be as painfully annoying as possible. And then in the future, we will work on tactics and we'll do some tactics training. And I use a really cool site. So if you want to create an account beforehand, the website I use is Chess Tempo.
Chess
I'll type
tempo.
it here in the chat for rechess.
Okay.
Chess tempo. It's really amazing and it's really difficult. So yeah, be ready for that.
It's
And
free. It's a free app.
yeah, it's completely free.
That's
You just have
awesome.
to create an account and that's free.
Hear that,
So
guys?
okay,
Chess tempo. That's how you get better at tactics. All right. Sorry.
let's look at this now. So we're playing.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is perfect. If they give a free pawn, then I'm more
Nobody,
than happy
yeah,
to take it.
nobody plays that way normally when I play this, but this guy did. I remember this game as well.
Okay, so he is forcing us to make a move with our piece again, which we would not like to move. Why is that? Because we really don't want to play like, let's say, Queen C7.
Because it's a pin. Yeah.
It's like bishop
Mm-hmm.
would not be good for us. So we need to move our knight again, a second time. What do you think the best square is?
Knight C6.
I don't like knight c6
Okay,
because it
so
doesn't really.
then knight
The
G6.
mentality, yes, knight g6.
Okay. So I always feel this is a weird square for my knight, but I get it because it puts pressure on the bishop and they have to move it again, is the thought, right?
Perfect. And the point of having your knight on c6 in the first place is that usually it's going to target this pawn here, right? Well, in this case, he just gave the pawn. So our knight doesn't really have any duties to the c6 square that it needs to, that it doesn't need to be here, basically.
I got you. So I also blocked my C file that I had opened up. Ooh, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you again. But I'm seeing what you're doing on the board. Okay. All right. Man. I cannot hear you right now, by the way. Okay. I cannot hear you.
Already a free pawn. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. I'm having trouble hearing you, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm following along though. So
okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's probably my internet. I've got to get that sorted out. I'll try and get that sorted for next week.
no, it's
And
okay. I was following along. I think with what I couldn't hear what you were saying, but I was following along with I can see. Or explain again if you don't mind.
okay,
Just
yeah, no, I was just giving you praise. Like, good move, perfect.
okay. Oh no, no. So was this a better move? Knight or
Says
bishop?
it's minus 1.6.
Okay.
No, I love your move. I love bishop.
Okay, so it's better. I like the bishop on that file. Is why I did that.
Move. Can you hear me at all?
Oh, I can now. You're just going in and out a lot. So I'm sorry. I'm trying not to.
Okay, well,
I can hear you now.
that's a shame.
No, I know you keep coming in and out, but now I can hear you. So
Okay, I'll try and. Okay, I was just saying this is all very good. Very, very good stuff. So,
why?
I love bishop b6, by the way.
Okay, I thought it was a decent move. My thought was I like the file. The pawn is pinned to the king, and my
Oh,
queen is still seeing my bishop. So
yeah, that's a very, very good justification. So, this is all very, very good. So, I think we can move along because this is already clearly winning for us. I mean, it's -1. If you don't make any mistakes, that's just a very good position to play out.
Okay.
So again, I'm just focusing on the openings.
Sure. So
We get the same
the
setup.
Slav I'm super not comfortable in, and I play it, and I know it's a very solid opening, but I don't know. I feel like I lose a lot of games in the Slav
Got it. This is actually called the semi-Slav because you've locked your bishop into this pawn triangle
by
here,
playing
and
e6,
then
right?
this is yeah, and then this is the semi-Slav.
Okay.
And the ideas are basically we're gonna try and break with c5 in these positions
Okay.
if they don't play aggressively. So the main move here would be something like like knight f3, c4 kind of stuff, and then we have some ideas which gain us some time. So let's just say knight f3. We can play a move like bishop to e7. If they play c4 here, something really interesting happens. We can actually choose not to castle this move, and we can play a really fun line here. But
Is it a forking
again, it
line?
goes
Does
back.
it fork pieces?
No, it doesn't fork pieces, but it forces white to move a piece again, which they don't really want to do. So the move here is d
Knight.
takes c.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't see that. Yeah, I get that. So they develop the bishop already, and then we make them move it again, and
Perfect.
and we win the pawn, or well, we exchange pawns.
So they've made yeah, and what's very interesting about the semi-Slav is that when you do this, you've even got
Mm. And he's moved again.
d5 as
I love it. So
so that's the way to play in the semi-Slav.
no, I like that because I've never learned that. So that actually is a cool way for me to break open. That's kind of my problem with these positions is I don't know where to go after I've developed my pieces. So
Yeah, that's very key. Okay, bishop moves back. This is completely
yes, so I remember doing this. They didn't take though. I think that
fine as this move. So we need to be careful about the way we develop in these positions. Yeah, I like bishop
mm-hmm.
e7 here, and there's no worries whatsoever. This
Yep.
is very everything is working together. And then we play for c5 because this knight looks here, this bishop looks here, and this is perfect.
Yeah,
So an example would yeah.
I'm sorry. I play bishop e7 almost always, and the reason is because I do exactly what I did right there, where I put a piece in front of my queen, which defends the piece in front of it. I do this in the London a lot when I play bishop d3 as well.
Yeah,
Um, I
which could
learned
be a
from it.
problem.
Yeah, I learned from it where I don't do it very often, but like I said, the Slav with black, I'm a little. I don't know what I'm doing necessarily, and that was a huge blunder. I remember playing this. I mean, this was just the other day, and luckily my opponent didn't see it, but it was a big blunder. So
Yeah, let me just give you an example line in this line though. So let's
sure.
say knight f3. We can play castles. They can play castles. We can play knight bd7, and let's say they develop.
Okay. We have great control over that square. Yep. Now he's got to move the bishop again or protect it. Bishop h or okay. Hey, Chili, I'm having trouble hearing you again, just to let you know. Yeah, I remember this one too. I'm having trouble hearing you, Chili. Do do do. I know this is an inaccuracy, by the way. I'm having trouble hearing you. There you go. You popped back in.
Sorry, man. Yeah, I'm back now.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I don't want to keep saying that I can't hear you, but so I'm trying to wait for the pauses and then you come back. So I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's no problem. So yeah, I was saying that this was all very good, and you took control of the center when they played in a very modern way and didn't take the center. So this was excellent. Now trying to stop this e5 push. If they didn't play this and played castle, then by all means, e5 is a great move.
Mm-hmm.
I'll even put a next climb here. But if they do play this, I don't like pushing too early because it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. You don't want to play pawn breaks before castling your king, and your king isn't castled. So I would play just very simple developing moves here, like knight f3, let's say, and then they can castle. We can play something like bishop b2, and then they want to play a developing move as well, maybe knight. And then we even have the option of playing d5 if we want. So there's many options here. I like just castling again.
And now we've completed our development. No.
Like, yeah, and it's a case of the more accurately you play the opening, the easier it's going to be for them to fall into a mistake. Like a very simple mistake would be to play
Yeah, and a fork. Yep.
E's fork that they can fall into.
Can I
If bishop, yeah,
explain myself? I guess here. I'm sorry. When they play d6, I I play this as opposed to the London, right? Like a regular London. I always I when I see
yeah,
they're playing the King's Indian, I do this, and the only reason I do it is because this is a trap or a trick. And it doesn't work all the time, right? It's an inaccuracy if you look at it because they take, I take, and then half the time they move their knight over to h5 and I play the move knight d5 and I'm basically going for a quick checkmate is all I'm doing and it works. I don't know, 30% of the time.
so you're saying take, and then take knight h5, and then you play knight d5.
Yes, and I play knight d5, not knight b5 on purpose. So we'll move the knight there. I mean, um, well, excuse me, hold on. Uh, Most people.
There's a very big problem with this
No,
thing.
no, no. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry. I messed this up. So here I play this. They take. I take, and before they move the knight, most people trade the queens, and then they move
yeah,
the knight here, and this is where I play knight d5. Um, a lot of people don't
okay,
know what to do
perfect.
here, so I don't know. I've seen this kind of thing, right? But the reason I didn't play the knight here on
Yeah,
b5 was so that I could do this, and that's fine, right? They don't always do that, but whoa, hold on. So playing this, they take blah blah blah. My whole point is that I get this. They move here. Some people move their king here, which is also treacherous, but castling I think is the best move here, no matter what. And I always move here to take this pawn, right?
yeah,
Um, this is defended, so they can't take this right away. If they do just castle, I know that I'm supposed to. I don't know if I should bring the bishop all the way back, but I've done that in the past just to not get captured and still have something. But I know that my goal is to get this, and when they move the king, I mean, say they do this, I take, they take, and then I played this. They moved the king, and instead of taking the rook, I just checkmate, right? So that's my thought,
Yeah.
and it works 30% of the time. It's not very accurate. So, anyways, go back to what you were saying. That's why I play that opening. Is why I was saying that. So
So this isn't really. You could say this is kind of like a gambit style of playing because you're creating something which is notably bad in your position, which would be this bishop,
yes.
and in search of compensation. So in gambits, you'd be sacrificing a pawn, and that would be considered bad because you're down material,
Mm-hmm.
but you get some compensation. And the difference between a gambit, just a plain gambit where you just sacrifice a pawn, and this is that in a gambit, 100% of the times when they accept it, it's already considered as a solid compensation for you. Whereas in this case, it's not the same because if you play e5, they may not accept it. They may play knight
Yeah,
h5,
and now I'm
and then
worse.
by not accepting it, yeah, that's the point here. And then I don't like this because they could just have a stroke of brilliance and find the right move, and we don't play bet chess. We're playing like to actually crush them on the board. So
I agree.
what I like is just castles. So I'd say stick to the natural developing moves for this one.
So when they play d6, I'm sorry. When they play d6, your move was to bring the knight out first, right?
Yeah, we can play knight f3 here, just to castle as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And then maybe in some lines we play something like bishop c4. This is completely fine as well. And there'll be these sorts of ideas.
Okay. Thank you. I
Actually, in this position, there's yeah.
I either win against the King's Indian
Go
or
ahead.
I get crushed. So I appreciate you showing me this because I play kind of the same line every time, and like I said, it's a low win percentage.
Got it. Well, I'd say stick to that knight f3 line,
Gotcha.
and you'll be good. Okay. This is the fantasy variation. Oh my god, I didn't know people play this at this level. Okay.
I suck at this,
Let's
by the way.
see. Yeah, the fantasy is a really tough variation to deal with. It's very strange. It's a strange little creature of a
Oh no, I lost you. I want to hear what you have to say about this.
best position.
Okay, I'm
The
sorry.
threat of
Repeat
actually
what you
winning
said.
this. Uh,
I'm sorry. I lost you for a second.
yeah,
I want to hear this one because I suck at the fantasy. So.
the basic idea is that, well, my suggestion altogether would be we shift over from the Slav to something else. If
Yes.
you're willing to do that.
Yes, I
So
would love to.
I'll explain this idea here. So the idea is that this queen does a very good job of being annoying because it's hitting this pawn,
Mm-hmm.
basically, and this pawn's a weakness, which means this bishop can never move. It also can't move here because we would just capture it. And if we look at this position, white has placed many pawns on white squares, which makes all of these dark squares extremely weak. All of these are weaknesses here for black.
Okay.
And there's even a threat of winning a piece here if they play like, okay, they don't want to develop the bishop, but let's say they play this first. Free piece. We're
Yeah.
happy.
Okay.
And this is crushing. So you have to play the knight. But then there's this check you can play, which you played, amazing. And the king can't castle. So it's basically what we're talking about for today's session. It's the idea that we're being as annoying as possible. We don't want him completing the three principles. We want him as far away from that as possible. And this does achieve that. At the cost of a pawn at this moment, we did sacrifice a pawn. Knight e7, completely fine. Castles, I like it. Yeah, this I don't like because there's d6, and
Yeah.
then this is now protected.
So I didn't calculate at all right there. And if you look at I don't know if you can see my time, but that was. I think at first glance that looks like a fantastic move, right? But I think I definitely should have taken that pawn.
Yeah,
Before I did anything like that.
for sure. And I can see why you kind of hesitated. Maybe because you thought there's takes, and then our knight is hit. Sorry,
Yeah.
our queen is hit.
Yeah.
But this still falls to very basic tactics, and it's in these positions where you do need to calculate because you've completed something astonishing, which is he cannot castle, which means on a move-to-move basis, you are deeply calculating for the win. You're trying to find the best sequence, you're looking for tactics, and first and foremost, what comes to mind is these are on the same file, which
Y-
looks really bad,
yes.
which is why you played Rook D8 in the
That
first
yeah,
place.
that was my impulse move, but I needed to play I think I needed to take first for sure. And then I think after, so if I take on d5, he takes knight takes d5, I play knight takes d5, he takes back with the queen, then he's in some trouble because my queen covers the d8 square.
Perfect, man. Exactly that. That is exactly it. Taken this, and this wins the game. You're just up a queen, and it's good times, you know. But this would be perfect. Good you saw that. But I mean, this was a really good game. So
Well, I
it was just
appreciate you
that
saying that.
D6 push. It was just the D6 push, which is the problem. So slight problem in the calculation, but nothing we can't sort out. And this leads to very stale positions, which is why I hate the Slav. I think it's so boring to play this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like the
And
Slav. Every time I play the Slav, I'm sure my viewers hate me because I just sit there and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I do it every time. I'm like, I hate this. I hate
yeah.
D4.
Yeah, I don't like this opening because I think it's just not testing enough. Like you're playing with the black side at a level which isn't grandmaster or anything like that. You can play for the win, you know. You don't have to play stale positions. You can play for the win. You're not playing for a draw. So I think aggressive openings is the way to go here for white and black, all the same. But this was good development. It's hard to go wrong in this position because it's just so natural. There's not many ways to play this except the typical ideas like, okay, we're gonna play this, then this. Okay, they may play this.
It
If
reminds
they
me
ever
of the
take me here,
Tartakower. Like, this position reminds me of the Tartakower, is why I played it like this.
this is the Tartakower position. This is the
Well,
Tartakower.
we just reached it from a weird way. Like I played kind of like a Slav to open up the game, and it turned. I feel like it turned into this, right? Like,
Yeah,
so I'm used to playing the Karo Khan and getting to the Tartakower, not necessarily playing the Slav to get there.
on here. Let's look at a few more. This one's interesting. 11. Perfect.
This
Yeah,
is
then you got him in the trap line.
yeah. This is what I meant.
Nice.
Yeah, this is
Perfect.
when this
Yeah.
happens, and I get a free win basically when it happens. That's why I play that move. Like I said, it doesn't. I don't do very well when they play the right moves. If they play
Got it.
knight h5 immediately when I make the break, I usually lose the game.
Got it. There's another thing you can do as well after knight g4. Well, yes, you do have this knight d5 move. Let's pretend you don't have this knight d5 move. What you
Okay,
can play is you can play knight
to defend the pawn.
f3.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, to play h3. Yeah, you defend the pawn first so that you can't capture, and this knight's trapped. No way
Yep.
out, no way out, no way out. It's just completely dead. So f3 would be amazing here. In this case, of course, they can play this, but bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say here, take 10.
Yeah, looks terrible for him.
So yeah, let's look at another one. And
I'm having trouble hearing you again, Chili. I'm sorry, brother. So far, so good. Maybe. Uh. Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that, man. Yeah, am I
N-
back?
No, you're back. I'm sorry. I was just. I'm paying attention to what you're drawing on the. I can follow along pretty. You're good at drawing on the board, so I've been following
Okay.
with you on the board. But
So basically, you want to stop him from playing this move, so you can play bishop
okay. No.
c play, especially given the fact that you can play stuff like knight g5 here. Like this looks amazing. This looks amazing.
It does.
Uh,
It does. I don't know. I feel like I get really stuck in doing my little simple tricks sometimes, and I get confused and don't look for the tactics. And that is just very simple: getting the knight over to G5 to attack the F7 pawn.
yeah, and that's very important what you said because many people will just hammer out tactics day in and day out and just play for those tactics. And sure, you could become a very good player at solving puzzles and tactics, but solving puzzles and tactics isn't the same as doing tactics. There's a very big distinction there. The distinction being that to play a tactic, actually have to set up the tactic. That's a
Mm-hmm.
big part of it. And so what you're seeing is, okay, this has now become very weak. I know there are many patterns where I can play, like, let's say a Friday liver would play this stuff.
Yep.
Oh, this is the same as a Friday liver. Of course, we're not castled, but given how good our position is, this is just very clean tactics.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of stuff you see, like, okay, let's say they can play a bad move and try and pin.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in trouble.
Again, tactics, we're looking for the loose things.
Yeah, and same I guess if he plays
Down on
H
that with this move.
if he plays H6, it's the same thing, right? I can still just play Queen B3.
Perfect, yeah. That's exactly it. So we're always going to be in a good spot.
Okay.
Oops.
This is that Benoni we
Yeah,
were talking about.
this is more like a baloney.
Yeah, baloney. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jelly, I've lost you. I've lost you. No. No.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Where I was asking a question. My question was, where are our pawn breaks?
I was looking at E5, right? And I was
Yep.
also looking at F5 potentially. I liked
I mean,
I
yep.
liked F5 because I felt like it opened up his king a little more. But
So
and
F5 is a move that you can play, but you have to have some moves inserted to play that kind of stuff.
mm,
Like, generally speaking, to play a move like F5, you need to have Rook A E1 inserted. So
okay,
let's say we would play Bishop E3, Queen D2, Rook A E1, and then we can play F5. Then this move would be viable. But not just yet, because what happens if we play this move too
they take. I take.
soon? Yeah, if they take it's a mistake.
Okay, so they wouldn't take. Obviously, I mean, I wouldn't take if I was them either.
So the point is that they're not obligated to take, and
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have their own agendas, and they can play a move like
Ooh, yeah.
B3 because this is his pawn break.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
don't
if we play
E. Yeah. No good.
It happened. We've yeah, we've played f5. This becomes weak. This
Yep.
is always a possibility here. Um, so you can play f5, and okay, let's just say they play a different move. Actually,
All right. Mm-hmm.
let's just say this, and you take yet. You see, so it's not really a weakness, and they can always choose to capture back like this. So this is why f5 is usually not
I got you. So E5.
incentivized. What is immediate, by the way? Yeah, so e5, but not immediately. Um, we need to build it up a bit more because if we play,
They just take.
yeah, I push, maybe bring a bishop somehow. I mean, okay, the very silly plan would be to play like this, and this, but this is just an example of how we could go about thinking about it. This would be a possibility. Um, and we also need to think about in this position, what does he want to do? Because chess is a two-sided game, right? And
Yeah.
we need to think about what he wants to do. What does he want to do? He wants to play this move. We
Yes.
can stop this by playing a4.
Okay.
He can't play this. So basically, he has one pawn break in the position. Well, you could say e6 is a pawn break, but given the weakness,
Boom. Yeah. I see. Yeah, yep. Stop the dark squared bishop forever, maybe. Okay.
yeah, we'll look at this final one I was saying.
Okay.
Kartakawa stuff, very standard development.
Yeah, I messed up there, right? That was my mistake right there, was bringing the bishop back. I know that here it said play rook e7 to defend my f7 pawn.
Yeah, but Rookie 7 is very unnatural to play.
That's why
It's a
that
very
that
hard move to find
that's
because
why I didn't play it. Is I didn't know what to do here. I thought about knight e5 as well to defend it, but I didn't want him to take my knight with his knight.
yeah,
Um,
I mean that's a very engine-like move to play Rookie 7. I myself would consider a lot more like this would come to, sorry, this would come to mind, like Rook to F8
to
again.
to
The
keep it
problem
on.
is there's
Yeah,
yeah,
that was my whole issue here, was that I had two pawns in trouble, and one of them came with a check and winning an exchange.
so just a quick thing to say about this. This is kind of like a general rule you can use. It's a lot better to lose this pawn than this pawn. This is a lot more valuable to you because this protects the king. Even though it's a doubled pawn on the f file, it's still a lot more valuable because it guarantees safety for your king. Whereas this pawn, if they take it, it almost nearly guarantees counterplay, which is funny. Like let's say we play
Mm-hmm. You could play.
this,
Oh,
that after
I see.
we play takes,
Yeah,
takes.
yeah, I see. defending and attacking the pawn.
Look at this. We can even sacrifice the second pawn, and then this move comes in.
Okay. So he can take on. We're not worried about him. I got you. So yeah, like knight e5. I mean, we got a check looming in the future. Bishop. This pawn is defended multiple times. This pawn is defended. I'm sorry, Thchilli. I keep losing you, dude. There you are. I found you.
Yeah. I know, like, when you're drawing arrows, that's like, yeah, I've lost you.
I'm
So I
sorry.
just stopped talking then.
I'm
No.
I'm trying. I'm just trying to focus. So.
No, man, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I'll fix my internet. Don't worry about that. So, yeah, I was just saying that this is very powerful because you defend this, attack this. There's this threat, and more times than not, this B pawn is always going to be a poison pawn, and there's going to be consequences to taking it, right? So,
Yep. And it's
um,
okay. It's okay. Well, right now that knight move is clutch because it defends the pawn. It also attacks the f3 pawn, offering a check potentially. I could even take the light squared bishop if I was being like that. But it also, like you said, double. Like I'm like triple defended on my f7 square right now with the knight there.
yes, sir. And one sample line, like you said, would be, well, you can choose many different options. Like, let's say they play king
Mm-hmm.
g2, which looks not great for him. You can even play like take rook here. We've always got lots of creative ideas. We've got a lot of things to play for in these positions. So it's never going to be a case of just like always one a pawn. Not really. There's counterplay always. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. My negativity gets the best of me in these kind of positions.
we'll learn to deal with that through time. So I think that's a lot for today. So when you're playing your games, really try and concentrate on those three principles and also doing the opposite effect for your opponents. Like try and make their lives miserable, and I'm sure you're going to get some great results. If you just play up a pawn the whole game, then you can play very simple chess. Still look for ways you can pressure your opponents. Like, oh, there's a weakness, there's an isolated pawn, we can go for that. You can always play towards your strengths, but just don't go too crazy when you're up a pawn. Like, when you're in a good position, try and just maintain it and play what the position allows. You don't need to go crazy. Um, but yeah, that's it for today. What we'll do next week probably is some tactics and
Okay.
focus on that portion.
Cool. Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your help. Um, can you hear me?
Yeah, man, no problem. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'll get you on the PayPal here in a second.